Chapter 30. A Promise to an Enemy. Itachi Uchiha laid there for a moment, blood coming from his mouth as he looked up at the figure above him. The figure just looked down at him with a monotone look. Before I end this, I want to know why you killed your clan. The man smiled, then coughed up a little more blood. The Uchiha are proud. Too proud. They wanted to usurp power in Konohagakure. My father. He was power hungry. He wanted to be the Hokage. If that had happened, Konohagakure would have burned from our enemies. He would have made threats he couldn't back up. Thousands would have died instead of hundreds. Naruto looked down at the man with a serious look. So, you didn't hate the village, but why everyone? There had to be some that didn't support the idea. Itachi smiled again. You know how the council works, Naruto. You think that they would want more Uchiha running around. I had to plead with the Sandaime to protect Sasuke. I loved my clan, but I loved my village more. Now, protecting it is your responsibility. I hope you never have to choose between your family or the village, Naruto. Please. Help her. The blonde Jinchuriki nodded, then beheaded the man, making sure to also cut the eyes. He looked at the man, then sighed as he started his trek towards somewhere but not Konohagakure. Unfortunately, he was sure that his delayed return would upset his red-headed fiancé. While he was walking back, he remembered his fight with the elderly Uchiha. Flashback. The two shinobi stood on the water staring at one another. Both had red eyes, though their eyes differed. One had the legendary Sharingan while the other had fox-slitted eyes to negate any genjutsu attempts. They just glared, then within an instant they both flashed. Naruto had his katana out and slashed down, while Itachi pulled out a kunai to block the downward slash of Naruto's blade. As the sparks flew from the clash of the metals, they leapt apart. Itachi quickly followed his landing, but reaching back into his pouch and pulling out shuriken. He threw the shuriken quickly, to a speed Naruto was actually impressed by. The blonde Jinchuriki ducked the shuriken just to take a knee to the chin from the Akatsuki member. Naruto flew backwards about 20 yards, then landed in the water. He climbed out of the water to see Itachi doing hand signs, fire style, fireball jutsu. The Uchiha man blew out a large fireball, but Naruto took a breath and went back into the water. As the fire ceased, he came back up and climbed to be standing on the water again. Itachi was smirking. You made a contract with the wind, so let me see these powers, Naruto. The blonde Jinchuriki sighed, then closed his eyes to focus. He felt the change in the breeze, then flashed at a speed not even the Sharingan had the ability to follow. To Itachi's surprise, Naruto had put more distance between the two of them. Itachi watched as Naruto held out his hand to form a Rasengan. The blonde man smirked, then flashed at Itachi, again hitting speeds that Itachi could not follow. Fortunately for Itachi, at the last second he activated something Naruto had never seen before. As he was thrusting his Rasengan forward with the additional force from his speed behind him, an orange figure appeared around the Uchiha. The Rasengan connected with it and seemed to damage it, but the figure regenerated. Naruto leapt away, looking at it critically before looking at a smirking Itachi. This is my Susanoo. Now, Naruto, we will be able to really begin this fight. Do not fret. When we kill you, I will make sure to kill your child and woman. Leaving them alive may cause issues down the line. Naruto growled and felt his canine teeth start to lengthen, but took a deep breath. He didn't want to have to use Kyuubi's power. Itachi watched as the Kyuubi chakra had started to surface but then receded back into the Jinchuriki. The Sharingan wielder looked at Naruto critically. What did you do? Why will you not fight me with your most valuable asset? This time it was Naruto's turn to smirk. You think that the Kyuubi makes me stronger, huh? The crazed genius nodded his head until Naruto started to laugh. Here, I always thought you were a genius, batshit crazy, but a genius nonetheless. The reason I am strong is because I have a batshit crazy fiancé who would find a way to resurrect me just to kill me herself. The Uchiha sweat dropped at the comment while Naruto shrugged. Are you not taking our fight seriously, Naruto? Naruto looked at him. Oh, I am, but I was also giving you a serious answer. My fiancé is just like that, but I have figured out your little trick here. It's siphoning off of your chakra. That was how it regenerated its damage. So that means you made my life easier. Itachi looked at Naruto. To do significant damage, you have to get close and use your Rasengan. The blonde man smirked and held out his hand and formed the Rasengan. Oh, do I? He focused some of his wind chakra into the Rasengan and the shape changed. The Rasengan changed into what resembled a shuriken, making Itachi eyes carefully. Naruto smirked, then reached back and threw the jutsu. Itachi's eyes widened as he saw Naruto throw the attack, then it connected to Susanoo. What Itachi didn't see was that as the jutsu created the damage, Naruto used a wind boost to get inside and stab Itachi through the stomach with his blade. Itachi's eyes widened again as he looked down at Naruto's sword in his stomach. He looked up at a smirking Naruto. All you Uchiha are the same. You think you're these unstoppable force because you have a powerful dojutsu. If someone finds a way to counter it, you're useless. Itachi coughed up a bit of blood, then looked at Naruto. You're stronger than we gave you credit for. You didn't leave any witnesses, so you will have the advantage on pain. He may have killed your sensei, but he isn't the one pulling the strings. You will delay their plans for a few years by killing me, but you have to get my bastard child before he does. If she has the Sharingan, then your family's safety won't be for long. She is in Kusagaku. The blonde Jinchuriki glared at him, then noticed that the Susanoo had disappeared. Naruto pulled out his sword, then delivered a hard kick into Itachi's stomach. The Uchiha man landed on the shoreline to be joined by Naruto, who stood over him, then had their conversation. End flashback. Naruto looked to see he was close to Kusagaku already. He figured that sneaking in would be his best shot, but the unfortunate thing would be trying to find the girl. Naruto looked around, then saw that the village entrance seemed to be unguarded. He walked through after taking off his headband to appear as just a normal traveler. As he entered the village, he realized that Itachi didn't tell him what the girl looked like, how old she was, or even her name. Naruto let out a sigh. I should have just went home. But I need to delay Akatsuki as long as I can. Naruto continued towards the middle of the village where he figured their leader's office would be. When he saw the large building, he saw what appeared to be a mob in the making gathering. Having enough experience with these types of people, he knew how to approach them. He snuck into the crowd, then looked at some other people. What is all this about? The man looked at him. We are going to kill that girl finally, the one with the cursed eyes. Naruto rose an eyebrow at him, then looked to see on the other side of the fence stood a girl with the Sharingan. He looked at her, then back at the crowd. What did she do to warrant you all trying to kill her? Just because she has different eyes than you? Are you really so ignorant? The mob just looked at him. You're just a traveler. What the hell do you know? The blonde Jinchuriki smirked. I know who her father was. I know that she has the Sharingan, and I know that none of you are going to touch her. The girl on the other side of the fence started at him in surprise after hearing that he knew who her father was. She didn't know that, and her mother died a few years ago and never told her who her father was. Naruto closed his eyes and tapped into his wind-affiliated powers again and blew them all back away from him and the girl. Naruto looked over his shoulder at her and smiled before opening the gate. Hello, I am Naruto Uzumaki. What is your name? The girl looked at him questionably. She had fallen for tricks like this before. Naruto knew that look though and gave her a soft smile. I am not going to hurt you. I came to help you since it was your father's dying wish. She looked at him with surprise. My dad is dead. Naruto gave her a soft smile. Yes. I killed him. Again she looked at him with fear again, then stepped back some more. Naruto gave her a sad smile. I am sorry I did that, but I had to protect my family from him. Your father was a confusing man. He surrounded himself with lies to confuse everyone of his true intentions. He wanted to be killed for what he did. If you come with me and let me take care of you, then I can tell you about him as well as teach you to defend yourself. She looked at him then nodded, figuring that it was better than this place. He smiled. You know, I was like you once. People used to hate me. They still do, but I have people who are dear to me that help me stay strong. If you come with, then we will find you people to think of like that. Now, will you tell me your name? The black-haired girl nodded his head. The only thing my father gave me was my name. It's Makoto. Naruto flinched a bit at the name. Well then Makoto, let's get going. Jump onto my back and we will be back in Konohagakure quickly. Makoto nodded her head, then climbed onto his back, then screamed as he took off into the air. She never saw someone who could actually fly before. After a while her screams of horror turned into screams and cheers of joy. She was having fun as the unknown man flew her to Konohagakure. They landed outside of a gate bigger than she had ever seen before, then he motioned for her to follow him. She followed him all the way to a large building that they walked into. He was greeted by some woman then led to big doors. He opened them easily for her to see a blonde-haired lady behind a desk. Naruto gave a small smile as he approached the desk. I have returned Ba-chan, can you send someone for Tayayu-chan? I have something to discuss with you both. The woman looked up then nodded as a Anbu flashed away then reappeared within a couple moments with a red-haired woman. Makoto watched as Naruto's smile got large from seeing the woman. He quickly grabbed her and kissed her before the woman hit him. What took you so long? Naruto laughed then looked back at Makoto making everyone's attention turn to her. Naruto sighed then sat down with Tayayu on his lap. Naruto went through the long story of his fight with the 4 Akatsuki members then his conversation with Itachi. He told them how he promised him to look after Makoto to make sure that Akatsuki doesn't get their hands on her. Naruto looked at Tsunade then at Tayayu. Tayayu-chan, I plan to get us a small house with all my bounty from the kills. I figured that it was time we moved since we are expecting a child. I also want to adopt Makoto here as our daughter as well. The red-headed woman looked at the man then at Makoto. The girl shifted nervously under her gaze then Tayayu slapped Naruto upside the head. What knocking me up wasn't enough, you had to adopt a girl too. What am I going to do with you Naruto-kun? Naruto smirked then kissed her neck. I will make it up to you Tayayu-koi, so is that a yes? She blushed and let out a small moan but nodded her head. Tsunade went through all paperwork with them to adopt and Naruto said he would be taking off a week for house hunting. The Hokage nodded then the new family left to the apartment that would be their home but not for much longer, to be continued.